for some people, they've realized that being competitive with things and trying to improving it better, it improves their life and the lives of those around them.
It's one of those things. Without these events and not having these conversations with other shops or other installers, like I wouldn't have thought of that. And as soon as Carlos said it, I was like, damn, that makes sense.
So, if you are in a smaller market where it is more competitive with the guy down the road, you might want to be learning and growing and staying competitive with the young, hungry kid down the road. America will make a competition out of anything with full stats, too. You know what? I agree with that, but that's...
Damn right we will.
Yeah, that's... it's called the meritocracy, right?
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Born to Tint podcast with the Miller Brothers. We have another slightly Q&A episode. This would be technically round 3. Right now, Josh is pulling up a video that went viral over the weekend. I think it's been up for about 5 or 6 days, maybe 7 days. It is from Tinner Battles.
6 days.
6 days. It is from Tinner Battles, which we went to in April. It was the 18th to the 20th. Is our first time at this competition. And we finally, we already had Carlos on a previous episode. Go check that episode out. It's a great episode. And then also us going to this event, now we actually understand his vision and what he's doing, because he's now starting to release the content from this video. And we just wanted to hop right straight into the video. Went viral over the week. It is up to, I think, 11.7 million right now.
11.6, yeah.
Yeah, 11.6 million. And it is a video of me competing in the battle round where I am drop rolling a piece of film and applying it. And when he first put it out there, it hit over 500, and then all of a sudden it just gained traction. And then it just started getting shared. And then it's been absolutely crazy to watch this video blow up. I mean, if you click on share, it's being shared global, around the world. Multiple languages all over the place.
It's approaching 1,000 shares right now, 728 comments, and 32,000 likes. And it's just a video of...
How many likes now?
32,800.
That spiked.
Yeah, it's interesting watching it. I get like knowing that like the first 10 seconds matter the most. The first 10 seconds is you snap rolling, and then the film slowly curtaining against the window.
That I did notice.
It's which I've noticed a lot of content that's satisfying, like something that just catches the eye. And then you've got Carlos in the background narrating, and you can clearly tell it's a competition.
And if you listen real closely, you can hear someone say, "Go, Brody." So the first thing I did when this popped is I sent a text to Brody. He's one of our reps, one of my good friends. He's also a rep with Autobahn, one of the manufacturers that we do carry. And I was, at the time, I think it was like 3.7 million on. I texted him. I said, "Hey, 3.7 million people have watched me beat you." And I texted that to him. He sent back an emoji laughing, which I thought it was hilarious. Now the fact that it's at 11 million is crazy. But beyond that, which we're going to field some questions from the comments in there, just because we try to engage as much as we possibly can. There are comments in there that obviously people just trying to get a rise, which by all means I liked and loved as many as I see. Every time I see one, I like it or love it. Like, absolutely. I'm going to engage as much as I possibly can in the comments. But since then, he's dropped another video of the squeegee battle, and that's up to like 20+ million right now.
Really? I haven't even seen that.
That one is quick hitter, though. Good 14 seconds, shows one competition real quick, and that same thing. It slowly started gaining traction, and now it's completely blown up. It's crazy to see.
Yeah, 24 million.
Yeah, that's
only 200 shares so far too. So if it gets shared even remotely as much as yours, is kind of insane. What's interesting to me about this is Carlos came in when we had him on the podcast. If you haven't watched or listened to that episode, I'd suggest doing it, because he kind of lays out in there in that conversation his vision for kind of how he stumbled across his own tint business, getting really busy with ceramic tint from people from out of the area. And he was kind of a new shop in not a great area. And he'd have people driving from across Houston from like nice areas to come get their window tint done with him, because the YouTube video that they found about ceramic tint was his video. So he kind of had a light bulb moment that content is important and it can kind of really change the game on how you run your business. And now he's got this vision for, all right, we got to make entertaining content. That's why he created Tintertainment, because if you want to really educate, you gotta get the eyeballs on it. So make it entertaining. If you can make it entertaining, then you educate. What's really cool about this is in the past, most of the competitions out there have been automotive based. And, you know, we even had talks with him at WFCT about how a flat glass competition would be cool. And, you know, immediately he's like, yeah, I've been thinking about that. And then he pulled it off, made it happen. And how many eyeballs now are seeing somebody install film on an architectural piece of glass that you're now entertaining that idea in people's heads that, like, oh, you can tint your home windows too, and there's a competition for it. What's this? Like, you pique that interest with something entertaining. And what's crazy is, from what I saw happen there, being there live, like, I wouldn't have never guessed in a million years a clip of that was going to be something that like went viral.
No.
Because there were so many other cool things that were captured that haven't even been released yet, let alone the fact that they had 4, 5, 6 cameras going at a time with a full production studio going on, and they're currently editing this down to be a watchable event that wasn't just like the raw live stream, which got a lot of views while it was live streaming also. But that final edit version of the competition, I'm really excited to see that. What's cool is this is going to drive traffic towards watching that, where you get a more in-depth view. There's interviews after each competition with whoever won the round. The video you're in, I don't even think you can really tell that it's 4 people head-to-head.
I got lucky. It was only 3. I would say lucky. Well, so the person across from me didn't. Name was called.
Didn't show.
They just didn't show.
Okay. Well, during that round, it was up to 4 people at a time. For most rounds, it was 4 people, and it was, you couldn't have any flaws. So meaning your cuts couldn't be messed up. You couldn't have a crease in the film. You couldn't have a giant chunk of dirt in it. They weren't judged crazy on quality, but it still had to be a passable window at first glance. And it was who could get the window done faster. And making it that head-to-head battle with 4 people all going at once, and they've got camera angles on everybody, was actually crazy exciting to watch in person. And then competing in it, it brought a whole nother level of, like, you know, having 10 or 15 minutes to finish a window to perfection is already stressful enough at WFCT. Yep. But that isn't really like a head-to-head for time kind of thing. This is like, how quickly can you do it, which is a cool way to make it into the finals, which then was judged completely on quality.
Yes.
Which then he threw another twist into that, which that content's going to be really exciting to watch. Yep. Because that he turned straight WWE, which, I mean, he talks about bringing inspiration from that. And he even had a Hall of Fame WWE wrestler, which I keep forgetting the guy's name, as part of the, like, production crew. He was there up in the booth on the mic talking with Carlos and Dave down on the floor, who were both commentating, who had like a really cool back and forth. Yeah. Dave's commentary was awesome. He sounded like he was doing the, you know, the play-by-play for a UFC event, and Carlos was kind of like the
hype man.
The color commentator who was given a little bit more. It was like a really fun play back and forth, and then getting to see the behind the scenes of it. They're like, oh, they've got someone in their ear even telling them what to play into based off of how the crowd's reacting, and they were really looking at how can we make this as entertaining as possible for the people that are here, because we know that will then translate the same way the WWE does that, right? Like, even the rules were loose, which people were complaining about, and, you know, I think everybody wants to win, and I think hopefully people will understand the vision now of what he's trying to do. And the reason why I feel like there hasn't been prize money and why it is just more for a belt is how much awesome content can we create for the industry to get the average consumer or average young person maybe interested in the industry. You know, like, the reason why we want to do the school is because we don't feel like there's really anybody out there servicing that need for the industry. And how can we generate interest in the industry from young people, because we need more installers. Everybody does. If you're in a big city right now and your shop's even semi-successful, you don't have enough people to do the work that's coming at you right now, especially during the summer months. So, like, there's so many levels of what his vision is for it. And to see that 4 years of working on this thing and having several different competitions now, to see some of this content really blowing up is just super exciting. And I hope everybody in the industry realizes everybody that was there was super, like, friendly, and like, it wasn't like I'm gonna beat you and we're competition and we're not talking to each other. It was a fun event.
It was the first part, but it wasn't. It's still talking to each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, a little bit of that's there, but ultimately,
for the fun of it. Like,
Yeah.
it was like the fun bullshitting and going at each other and
Yeah.
like, you got me, like, you know, hey man, Marcus whooped my ass
Well,
numerous occasions.
and it's like education focused, right? Like, the first half of every day was we were there as instructors. So we were there, we would set up on a window, start installing. A couple people would gather around, you'd start showing them how you install. They'd have some questions, ask them some questions on what they wanted to see you show. And they were doing the same thing with PPF, the same thing with automotive tint, the same thing with the windshield protection film. What was that film called? Because that was
From
in
EDP, I know that.
Yeah, and it was really fun to do their little. We did they had a competition to get into, like, a main. That was an extra competition that was there. We didn't even know it was going to be there. That EDP just held.
Yeah, we did.
I didn't even know
that was going to be the setup though of having to do a qualifier. It was the qualifier was just
Yeah.
ran constantly to where you could go up and say, all right, you could practice it. It was on a Fiat. You could practice it just to feel the film, and then when you said, all right, I want to do a qualifying time,
Yeah.
they'd clock you, and then the top 8 times made into the finals.
Yeah, so that product is super interesting to me. We're looking at trying to implement it into our line of products we offer, because what it is, it's an exterior film that installs in literally 5 minutes. I mean, if it was a customer's car and we're really trying to make sure the cuts turn out perfect for the competition purposes, you only had to be within a 1/4 inch of the edge. So maybe 10 or 15 minutes would be plenty of time to tint a windshield with that film.
No, probably a little bit more.
I mean, with
prep
all
work,
prep,
and all,
yeah.
prep
I mean,
work and all
actual
that.
install once it's prepped and ready to go.
Yeah.
So compared to having to shrink out some 4 mil windshield protection film and being capable of doing that on most windshields, especially the harder windshields, is already tough enough. Yep. And then the cost you have to charge for that, because that's going to be a couple hours of install to get it on properly, and that still doesn't last forever. This, they're not saying lasts forever, but the fact that you can charge a low enough price point that if someone is constantly having issues with rock chips and they're sick of dealing with it, you can put this on and maybe replace it every year or two. And
I think it's got a 12-month warranty on it.
Yeah, so I mean, windshields are expensive now, so
Certain types of cars, you're looking at thousands of dollars for a windshield.
Yeah, so there's a price point that you can achieve there, still be profitable, and not suck up a bunch of your time. And really, I don't think there's, if you know how to install window film, I don't think there's really any training required. Like, there was a couple little tips and tricks for it that they were able to explain to us. We took one test run at it, and then we did it to compete, and we made it into the finals, like, easily.
Yeah.
With just our second time ever applying it. The finals, I messed up on my corner, and I did it differently than we did in the round to get into the finals. And all of a sudden, it was on a harder window, and I didn't have as much leeway, and I had to pull it up and mess with it a little bit. But I realized exactly what I did by I cut a bigger squeegee to think I could squeegee more faster. But really, you got to get a stretch on it. It's almost like PPF.
Yeah, you got to.
So the fact that I didn't have my second hand pulling on my bottom corner left too much to try to card over at the bottom, and it creased. And it was a fun experience. It was cool to see, like, okay, this is a pretty cool product. Will it last 12 months or not? It's the question I have. But you can find out by just install it on some of your own vehicles even and give it a test. But I think it's a cool extra little add-on you can add to your customers that are worried about rock chips, or even you just know, okay, this is a $1,200 windshield. That's a pretty easy sell. Like, hey, we can put this on for a couple $100. You don't got to deal with the hassle of getting your windshield replaced if it gets hit with a giant rock and cracks.
Yep.
Like, that's a massive inconvenience.
Especially depending on where you're driving, what your commute is. If you're driving through, say if you're having to go to California, your job's taking you to drive there, or even just drive a good amount of, if you're on the road constantly, it'd be worth the investment. If it's something that's happening constantly, where if you replaced a windshield once or twice within the past, like, say, a couple of years, that, I mean, you replace that every year, and that's still going to cost you less.
Honestly, like now that I'm thinking about it, we need to order some of that right now just to apply on our work vans. How many work van windshields have we replaced?
We haven't replaced them yet 'cause they're still all
Well, there's
broken.
there's one or two that are cracked right now, but I'm saying over the years,
Yeah.
that's been an issue we've had to deal with, and we'd be crazy not to at least put it on our own right now and give it a test and like verify. Okay, this work. We don't have to rush into using it right this second. We can test it on our own vehicles.
No,
And
definitely need to. But hold on, let's get into, so long intro into the fact that we figured we were going to, because going through when that video popped, I was going through comments, just trying to stay engaged. With the people that are just trying to troll, love the comments because, hey, you're interacting and you're driving the video to get popular. Thank you. We appreciate it. From the bottom of our hearts, keep it coming. I technically could care less, but I'm very happy in the fact, like I said, I'm liking and loving those comments because it's driving traction. And then it's also highlighting, because someone's going to see that video and go, oh, what is this? And then they're going to ask the question, and they're putting questions and comments in there that we were going to go through a couple of them. One off the top of my head that I made a quick rebuttal video just because I saw the question pop constantly is, I thought the plastic went on the inside.
I've got it right here exactly. How is it sticking to the glass when he pulled the liner off towards him?
Yeah. So I can answer that question very easily. It is what you don't see in the beginning of that video, which we are going to release a more in-depth video, just the breakdown of it, the technique. It's called a reverse drop roll or a California roll. Is when you roll up the film with the liner on the inside part of the film. You roll it up tight, and then you separate the liner from the film, and you use water to contact that liner to the roll itself. And so when you drop the film and you throw a little force into it, when that roll unrolls itself, it is pulling the liner off the inside part of the film. So I can instantly drop and stick. The main reason for that is you're able to drop the film and apply it instantly to the glass with very minimal amount of time with the film hanging out in the air with contamination to where you are putting it on as cleanly as humanly possible. You see me peel it off the back because it just unpeeled itself and I'm taking it out of my way so I can then squeegee my window. I saw that comment over and over again. I came up with a reply. I started replying to people. Had one or two people like, I get it, but I don't. So I put a quick video together kind of explaining it, which, like I said, I'm going to do a more in-depth video and just showing, the technique, because that was one thing at the battles that we got questions on as soon as we started doing the demos of the training, was they told us to go start installing, and then when people ask questions, answer the question.
Yeah.
I got that question constantly. Like, what'd you do there? And then also beyond that, it's a relatively easy technique to pull off, but there are small little things that if you don't do, you could drop the film, it unrolls unevenly, and then you have like a half unrolled piece, and it becomes a pain in the ass when it does come
Without
down
a
to it.
second hand, for sure. Yeah. It's crazy is it's been so long that we've been doing that it kind of trips me out sometimes to know that there's tinners out there still not doing it. That it's like it's definitely still something that people could be educated on. And then it also depends. This is something we talked about on one of our previous podcasts. What type of film you're using is going to make a difference. Like, I know frost.
Yeah,
Most frost films, like, you can't necessarily drop it like that. It's not really going to unload and just unroll. So you kind of, if you are going to reverse roll it like that, you might have to pull out a couple of feet, wet it, stick the top of the window while keeping it nice and rolled, and then you can still roll it down the window. So it's still a one-person install even on a big window if you know what you're doing, instead of having to have somebody peel the liner for you. But sometimes if we're on a decent-sized job and it's big frost windows like that, like on a conference room or something, we will just hold it and let somebody peel it because it's just faster at that point.
It's more efficient.
Yeah, so which film you're using does matter, but most films out there now, if it's a quality film from a quality manufacturer, it should drop well. You got to test it and see. Some brands aren't as forgiving as others. Like, I know we use 3M Night Vision, and we also use Solar Guard Slate, which are comparable and they're dual reflective films that achieve pretty much the same thing. And the Slate I could have a really small pattern that isn't very heavy and it's going to drop no matter what. Whereas the night vision, you can get it to do it, but it needs to be a nice heavy pattern. So it needs to be a big, tall window that you roll up tight enough. And if you snap it right, you can still get it to do it, but it's film by film dependent. So
Yeah, depending on how far you're gonna roll it out and roll it back up, and you're using the weight of the film and gravity to peel your film for you. So if you are just a one-man show, or if you are going out on a job by yourself, you might have multiple crews and jobs big enough to send one guy out, gives him the capability to peel film without having to worry about putting crinkles in it, getting contamination in it, or anything like that.
Yeah,
So
and
that question was asked.
know your film before doing it and
Test it.
practice it.
Oh yeah, test it. I mean, people ran into that at WFCT last year.
Using film they don't normally use.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, I don't ever use this, and then they expected a different outcome. Like, test the technique before going into someone's house. Like, it might be one piece of film that you might be scrapping, but it'll look a lot better if instead of you going into a customer's home and like, let me give this a try, and then it failed miserably, and then you end up scrapping a piece in front of them, and now the customer's just looking at you like, do you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
So definitely give it a try. Like I said, look for by the time this episode drops, the video will be up and out there. So I'm definitely gonna do a more in-depth video of that, just because we have gotten some comments on that one too. Like, hey, slow down, do it to glass. Like I said, it was a very spur of the moment thing. I was heading off to a birthday party with my son, and like I kept seeing the comment over and over again. So I was like, I'll just go to my shop real quick and just like bang out this video. So I just went and made it. I figured, and that was one thing that, like, even when I posted that video, Carlos texted me and he was like, love it. Like, it content, the reach it has, and being able to portray what you're talking about without having to get so in depth with like an explanation that is like paragraphs long. It's just like, no, I can just put a quick video, let me show you, and do it, and just instantly give someone the visual, and it answers the question like that.
Well, and the return on your time of Dick, it might take a couple more minutes to record a video and edit it, but if you do it right, like, you don't need to do it again.
Yeah.
Right? So now that video, or the one we do that's more detailed, we can make a YouTube out of it. We can take some short clips out of that. We can add it into, anything else we ever need to do. Like, we've got that video, and now that's basically, we cloned you explaining how to do that. You just created a little cyber teacher, Ricky, on how to do a drop roll that you don't have to, you record something one time explaining how to do something properly. That's why there's so many online schools popping up now. If you can do a really good job breaking stuff into sections and making video clips of it, people can learn from video. Like, I met someone at Tinter Battles that learned how to tint from Tint School online. Yep. And he has a successful window tint business right now. I mean, he also came from having a successful business before that and decided he wanted to get into the industry, which helps tremendously, because we all know a lot of window tinters out there might be great window tinters, but are still, trying to learn the business game better. I know we're in that.
I would say we're in that position right now. Like,
I feel like I understand window film amazingly. I could teach anybody how to become a great installer, and I'm still learning at that too. But the amount of things to learn at that is small right now compared to what we're learning, like from Ryan Pineda for business, and going to Alex Hermosi's workshop, and like, the point is like, don't stop learning. Yeah, have a growth mindset and keep adding to your skill sets. The more skills you have, the more money you're going to be able to make, because you're going to be able to solve more problems for more people.
Agreed.
Like, at the end of the day. So I have one right here that's pretty funny. And I think this is one that I've seen a couple times, and one you've commented about. Everything is competitive, ? What's next? Competitive brain surgery? I think you've responded to a couple of these. The internet's full of so many trolls.
Like I said, I welcomed them. I mean, most of the replies I put out for that is, without competition, though, how are you supposed to master your skill? Like, if you're not going to surround yourself with the other best in the industry, 'cause that's what it comes down to with these events. Like, they've now morphed into the fact of, like, it's a lot of the same group, but at the same time, these are a lot of the high performers in our industry. And, like, it's fun networking with these guys. And then we're able to put our skills against each other. And then also, I get to watch someone else that is installing at a high level install. And then when I see them doing something a little different, you bet your ass I'm going over and asking them like, what'd you do there? Why'd you do it?
Yep.
And then picking their brain about it. Like, and my most of the responses that I gave to those is without competition, I can't master my craft. I'm trying to master my craft, and then I want to, by opening the academy, we're looking to pass that on to the next generation, because that's right now it's been the same problem for the past 2 decades. It's labor. Like we don't have installers. Like it is a skilled trade. Like you have to learn our trade, obviously to do it. And that's the break off. That's another one of the comments that I saw multiple times, which was hilarious. It's just a sticker, just to peel and stick it. It's like, I wish it was that easy. I memean, it's easy for me now, but I've been doing it for 2 decades.
I mean, essentially that's right, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Yeah, there's quite a few. The very next one after that was ESPN 9, right after Real Housewives of CHL, and then it's got like in quotations Cornhole League. People are funny. I mean, honestly, that is the idea behind it. There are people watching tag. There are people watching dodgeball. There's billions of people on the internet at this point that are all interested in different things, and most of the comments that I see, again, it kind of comes back to mindset. Like, yeah, for some people, they've realized that being competitive with things and trying to improving it better, it improves their life and the lives of those around them, and that's what they're focused on. And if that's not you, then that's not you. And I think it takes a person whose mindset is not in that place at all to make that kind of comment. Like, I kind of feel bad for the people that are making those comments, because it's like, oh, you don't get it. Like, it's yeah, like I think the world's a meritocracy for the most part, especially here in America. And like, if you work hard enough and long enough at something with an open mindset, and you're constantly trying to learn and get better at it, the opportunity to achieve whatever you want to achieve is there. But if you think that things being competitive is some kind of issue, I don't think you're going to think that way, and you're probably going to be stuck in a miserable place where you're making negative comments on Facebook.
No, absolutely. And that was kind of like a generally summed up what I replied back with, is just telling them telling the guy, like, hey, without competition, I'm not able to better myself as a installer or, master my craft. And then with that, like, of course, there is going to be a percentage of people that are there that are competing in any competition for any industry. In my eyes, there is going to be a handful of people that are there for the reason that they do just want to say that they're the best, and and the ego is driving them. But most of the time, those people aren't winning, and they just don't get out of their own way to actually look at somebody do something differently and realize, like, that's probably more efficient, or, let me give that a try, and then take that technique and integrate it into what they're doing. So, like, my reply was, like, for the majority part, everyone that's there is trying to grow and learn and better our industry and grow our industry. Yeah, there's a small percentage there that are there for the reasons of I just want to be the best and raise my hand. Very small percentage in my mind.
Oh, we were there at one point. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. So even those people, I think, have room to grow. The fact that they're even there, like you were saying, the people that do have the mindset of this is stupid and I don't have time for it, that are in the industry, that talk trash on it, they're the ones that some young kid from their area that does come to the event, that does network with other people there that are more successful, learns how to use Tint Wiz to make their business more efficient, and talks with Cody and sees better ways that if they already are using it, the ways that they can make their canned proposals better. And now all of a sudden, when you're bidding against them on a project and they're sending over this complete, like, yeah, maybe they've only been doing it for 2 years, but they might be able to present to the customer a lot better presentation immediately, because you're stuck in your ways and you think that that's all that matters. And next thing you know, they've surpassed you, and because they're taking advantage of the fact that there is a lot of really good content out there right now if you know how to sift through it on finding the solution to a problem. You come across a car you've never tinted before that gives everybody problems, you can probably go find a video of how to tint that window, probably a couple different ways too, from a couple different people showing different ways to attack it that are going to work. Detroit Tint Studio. He has all kinds of cool videos showing people how to tint in a way that I've never tinted or used. He uses the little like almost like spoon paddle for bottom loading,
Seen that.
or even for top loading and using it to like how he shows how to top load and then tuck your bottom in is not exactly how I've ever done it, but it's really cool and it seems like anybody could pick that up pretty quickly. So, you know, if you are in a smaller market where it is more competitive with the guy down the road, you might want to be learning and growing and staying competitive with the young, hungry kid down the road who doesn't have a huge overhead and wife and kids yet and bills and can just focus all their time and energy night and day on trying to get better.
Yep.
Because they're gonna be the one that makes it to where you are slow because they're sucking up all the work because they've surpassed you. Like, I'm kind of amazed at how quickly people can turn this into a successful business for themselves, talking to more and more people out there that have just started in the last couple of years. Detroit Tint Studio is an example. I mean, we've been tinting way longer than that guy, but he's got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers on his YouTube channel now. And what kind of impact has he had on the industry? We've had people come to us to want to get hired because they've watched either his or Sean Roach's Window Tint Warriors. And we've literally had people come in and like, well, what got you interested in window tint? Well, I was watching this Window Tint Warrior video and, you know, now that's one of our, you know, top installers. He's 22?
21.
Not even 22 yet. Yeah.
Just cracked the big.
Came to us right out of high school because he saw YouTube content on window tint and decided that'd be a cool industry to get into.
Went to 2 other shops. Those 2 shops told him to pretty much kick rocks. Came to us. I loved his attitude, loved his drive just to put himself out there.
Yep.
And like that by itself was like that's all I needed to know. Like we can teach almost anybody.
Yeah. And what's cool too is like, especially the fact that we don't have that mindset of like feast and famine and like scarcity mindset, kicks ass for us all week long.
Yep.
And almost every day and almost every weekend, he's tinting extra cars at home in the garage because he's out hustling and building his Instagram up and stuff. And it's cool. We encourage it. He can use our plotter to cut his patterns and buys film from us to do those side jobs. At the end of the day, that's just making him better, faster installer for when he is at work working with us, and he's getting paid well enough that it's like, he enjoys coming in.
Yep.
He's had family members come in to work for us. If you create strong relationships with the people you're training, and you treat them well, and you're not a tyrant, like you don't need to be worried about them leaving. Like, yeah, could he leave one day and go do his own thing? Like, for sure, 100%. But do we have an environment and a culture right now where I'm not like worried about that happening? 100%.
Yeah, no, that's been one big thing that we've shifted for is let's stop worrying about that. Like, someone's going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to leave if you are creating an environment which they are going to want to leave. Give them an environment they want to stay and grow and keep going forward.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if it gets to a point where he he doesn't feel like there's anywhere else to grow in our business, which hopefully that never happens, and we keep growing and have higher spots to rise to in the business, and he decided he wanted to do his own thing, my mentality is, okay, I'll help you do it.
Yep.
I'll stay your mentor and help you in any way I possibly can. And, you know, the day comes that we land some giant crazy account that we need more manpower on, and one phone call away from having somebody else that maybe has even trained more people of his own now that we can have hop on that account and knock it out. Like, I don't know. It just seems crazy to me I after having conversations at Tinder Battles, though, I do understand that there are different markets, and in some smaller cities seems to be a bigger issue. You know, if you have a little tiny population city and, you know, countryside, which is a lot of the country, and you already have 3 tint shops on the main drag, and then you train a guy and he goes opens up the 4th one, like, and now you're seeing your numbers dip, like, that sucks. But what else can you do about it? You know, there's got to be something else you could do about it. You got to think outside the box on that one.
It's not separate yourself from the competition.
Yeah, don't be fixed mindset and constantly just provide better value to the end consumer. Like, how can you provide the most value to the end consumer that they want to come to you, that they want to refer their friends to you, that they want to give you a review, and that they're willing to pay more to come to you because they trust you more than the next guy. Like, you have control of those things.
Well, that's the biggest thing. Like, I know we've probably said this ad nauseum, and the fact of like the main reason for the podcast was to literally put content out, just to let people know like this is who we are, this is what we can do, this is what we offer. I mean, growing the awareness of flat glass alone, like the fact that that video popped for over 11 million is like, that's crazy. Like at least 11 million people have now seen that, and I guarantee there's a good percentage of those people didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of drew them in, like, oh, what's going on here? And then like seeing it happen and then share with a friend. I mean, Carlos had sent me a text that a guy within one of the Tinter groups sent him a screenshot of the video and said, dude, this just made it into a group chat of non-Tinters, and they keep tagging me in it. And it was a dude from Australia.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Yeah, so the little
reach
event
of
we
it
did
is-
in Orlando, Florida for 3 days is going to create work for Tinners in Australia, you know? That's happened with some of Carlos's other content that he just made for his shop in Texas, you know, showing rose gold window tint, making a cool video of some bronze film, which has been around forever, call it rose gold, and edit the video nicely, and it pops and goes viral. And now tint shops around the country are getting calls asking for rose gold window tint, which clearly came from that video because I've never heard it called that before.
No, but it's a great way to present it when
Yeah.
it comes down to it. And that's just, again, it's one of those things. Without these events and not having these conversations with other shops or other installers, like, I wouldn't have thought of that. And as soon as Carlos said it, I was like, damn, that makes sense.
Or even
Like, that is a hell of a way to present it, because that means it's all in the optics of how you want to put it out there. You know, bronze, in his eyes, bronze usually means third. People don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They're just like, no. Say rose gold, though, all of a sudden you got that gold in there. You're like, oh, that's first place. Rose gold. Like, oh, I like that. It's got a nice warm feel to it, and that's what that film is for. It gives you a nice warm tone. So depending on what you have in your house, the color of the outside of your house, like, it probably will match really well with all the tones you have in your house. And then also, too, it's one of the higher heat rejecting films.
Yeah.
Like, it's a pure metal film. Depending, also they have a dual reflective in it. That it's going to hold upwards, if memory serves me right, depending on what window pane you're on, upwards of 70+% heat rejection. Because it's made with copper. It's a reflecting film. Reflects a lot of damn heat out of the window.
Yeah.
So that was a hell of a way to repurpose. Not repurpose, just like reimagine the look and the presentation of a film.
Yeah.
Like, and it almost seems like that's what he's doing. That is that whole outlook for the Tinter battles. I'm gonna take this industry that he does love what he does, but he loves the entertainment side, and I'm gonna repurpose the image to be entertaining, to at least get it in front of people.
Yep.
And then it's our job to explain what it is. Because I was like, a lot of the comments on there were, what's going on? And, if anything, pull up the squeegee one, because the squeegee one, since the one I was in popped, there was a squeegee battles in one of the battle rounds, which the battle rounds were just the entry level rounds to get into the architectural finals. So the top 3 in squeegee and the top 3 in the flat glass went and battled in the team architectural, where you're able to pick your partner. And it ended up being 8 competitors instead, because, like, same thing, the fluidity of the competition, with how certain people placed, it just made sense to bring in the other 2 competitors and then expand it to an 8-person competition.
Yeah.
So I mean, that made complete sense to me. But the squeegee one's at like over 20 million now, which is.
And what's funny, again, the trolls, man, I wonder if some of these people know that they're just going to help more people see this. This one, as I was scrolling down, most of them were positive, and then I came across this gem. Nothing special. Anyone can do that. And Tinner Battles responded, come squeegee it.
Yeah, I saw that.
At the end of the day, like, I'm of the mindset of just kind of having empathy and feeling bad for people that are spending their time making negative comments on stuff. At the same time, I'm grateful for them because they just help drive engagement, and the fact that they haven't figured that out yet is hilarious to me. But
that's, like I said, the main reason why I've won through, and like I haven't even won through that video yet, and I need to, just to kind of uphold, in my eyes, I'm upholding my end of the bargain when it comes to helping support the Tinter Battle brand, is engage. Like, I welcome all the comments, please. Yep, Anyone can do it. That's right. Guess what? We'll be doing it again next year. Come on down.
You would win.
Come join us.
You would win with a poll. Okay. A lot of people just tagging other people to see it, which is kind of a form of sharing it without sharing it. That's interesting. White people sports, which is hilarious. Oh, somebody, they commented. Tinner Battles commented, the founder of Tinner Battles is of Mexican descent, and he goes by the Texas Squeegee, and is also a commentator you hear in the videos. Man, that's hilarious.
I definitely think a lot of that.
There's a lot of positive on the Squeegee one, though, actually.
Yeah, the tin one got
So,
tremendous amount.
I mean, if I have to be fair, it's overwhelmingly positive.
That's the majority of it. I mean, honestly, if you go through, and even in the tinning one too, you go through and you cherry pick comments. Like those comments that get the traction are the ones that are pushed up to the top. If you go to all comments and actually go through, it's a lot of people just sharing to other people just to show them the video. And then it's also people, I mean, even
a couple more haters about competition. I don't know why. Maybe this person's not in America, but America will make a competition out of anything. With full stats too. You know what? I agree with that, but that's
damn right we will.
Yeah, I mean that's. I mean, it's called the meritocracy, right? Like
if the best.
Yeah.
Compete.
Do we have it perfect? No. Is there corruption here and there, whatever in America? For sure. You see it in politics and business and whatever. That stuff exists. But at the end of the day, I think the reason why America became the superpower it is because of competition and a meritocracy and the good parts of capitalism, where there's a market incentivized to get people to compete to provide a service, and whoever does the better job ends up growing faster and bigger and making more money. And I mean, that's kind of the idea.
Well, even like with this is like we're going to take our industry that we do, and then we're going to piggyback it on top of an entertaining competition when it comes down to it, and then look what it's done. He's released a fraction of what he has taken in content wise, hasn't promoted or paid ad or anything, and off of just 2 videos is probably going to eclipse 40 million views. So like the amount of traffic that's being driven through his page now just on Facebook, and that's not counting. He's got TikTok, YouTube, which are those, every single one of those is over 1 million views with the videos that have been posted on there from the previous competitions. It's just for some reason it was the perfect, alignment of how his previous content was put out there, and then for some reason these 2 pieces caught fire. And like I see it, it's going to be just an effect of it. Hopefully, just keeps going as he puts more content out. There's even videos on there that are upwards of 600 plus. Of the team battles and architectural. You got Marcus and Joe competing, holding the window, and like that one's I think over like 700,000 views, which is still like, and like in those videos aren't short, like by any means, like they almost about a full minute. So I mean that's getting people engaged for that full minute. That's the thing that kind of blew my mind with the video I was in. Like that's not a short video, and like you're telling me 11 million people watch that? Like that's crazy. Like it makes zero sense to me. I'm welcoming it and I love it, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to help promote it and push it, and because it's putting our name out there, and that's what I want. I want to put our name out there, and then also introduce something to somebody that like may not know what it is. Like what plastic are you putting on that window? What is that reflective stuff? And then, boom. Explain to them what it is.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait, you can tell me I can save on heating? I mean, on air conditioning in my home? Yep. I mean, technically heating too. If you want to go into the full line of films, if Ecolux from Panorama is a 12-month film, not only does it reject heat, but it also retains heat. It's one of the few films on the market that actually does that. It's an actual low E film.
It's an insulator.
Yeah. So instead of replacing all the windows in your house, you put this film on, and if you compare the costs, yes, Ecolux is not a cheap product for us to install, but compare it against, I have to replace all my windows. That's $100,000. Like which one are you gonna do?
Yeah, and then you get to historical buildings where they don't want to replace that old single pane glass, but they need to get up to current energy standards, and the cost of renovating something like that sometimes is like can't even be renovated. There's so many different the main idea behind Tenor Battles that I just want people to understand, and this was like planned out for sure, and Carlos talks about it on our previous podcast, is make it entertaining, everything else will follow. The education can come after you get them sucked in, and there's several comments throughout that of like, I didn't know this was a thing, but I can't stop watching it,
Yep.
which is like, okay, awesome, mission accomplished. And if
Like,
that continues, I mean, that's only going to create more work for all of us. Even what we've been doing with this, we haven't been doing it very long, but we've gotten a couple things to kind of pop, where they get 5, 10, 15,000, 20,000 views. And you see that it's getting people to stay watching for at least 10 seconds. And we're talking about something that might be related to tinting your home, whether it's protecting from fading or heat rejection. And
Turf protection.
we're going on sales calls every day now. I'll do 5 to 10 a day, and on every single one of those sales calls, or at least on 1 or 2 throughout that day of 5 to 10. Sometimes it's been like 5 or 6 of them. I'll ask them, how did they find out they could tint their home? And they'll say, oh, your Instagram videos. I didn't even know that was a thing. I just thought you could do your car. So that's growing the pie. That's not fighting over ad spend on Google AdWords and tuning it in and trying to make sure that your ad pops up for the handful of people that are searching to tint their home because they already know it's a thing. That is quite literally creating new customers. And we're the first place they ever learned that they can tint their home. And then they get into the funnel of the ads now, that because they've engaged with our content, now they're getting more ads, which are more educational videos that typically were refiltering that organic content that did well, and they're going to get hit in a cycle of getting all of those videos. And now all of a sudden, when you show up for the sales call, you've already educated them on what you can and can't do for the most part, and the trust is there. Those jobs are pretty much sold,
Yep.
like almost every time. And based off of
They've
the
already-
scenario, that person, what problem are they trying to solve? It might be a different product, each one of those customers, but they at least knew all of a sudden that window tint or window film would be an option to solve a problem they have in their home, which is amazing. Like,
No, it's a buildup of numerous things. We have thankfully the long-standing history of being open as long as we have,
For sure.
from what Dad's created, and then from there, implementing like nice jobs to where we've been able to put out there for our customers, hey, if you had a good experience, please leave a review. And then all of a sudden now we have 1,700 plus reviews.
Yep.
And if people, leaving a review, like how many times have you left a review for something?
I don't do it often.
Yeah, either do I, unfortunately. Which
I just did one recently
especially for a small business, because what it can do for a small business, especially if they did good work or they showed up on time, if they held up their end of the bargain, and if they put forward good work, like what that can do for a small business is you can't even calculate it. I don't think. No, because we have the decades of being in the business. Then we have the reputation. Now we have the digital reputation because we have over 1,700 reviews. And now we're putting out putting us out there in the fact of like, hey, this is the things you can and can't do. Before we even get into someone's house, or before someone even comes into our shop, they feel like they kind of know us a little bit. They feel that they see the track record, and to where it's like we're not bullshitters when it comes down to it. I care about putting out the best product I possibly can and solving your problem. That is truly what I'm looking to do when it comes down to it. Or by the time we even get in there or they meet us, it's like we're already selling ourselves. We're trying to let people know, like, these are the things you can be done. These are things you got to watch out for if someone comes into your house, and when it comes down to it, in which technically we used to be kind of part of it because we didn't give into the pushing using the meter itself for the glass. And like I've already said before, like we sold certain products because we knew those products would work on any system. They weren't as dialed in as they probably needed to be. Of like maybe there was another product we could have used or offered because we could have actually known exactly what type of glass we were installing on. In which that has been a transitional thing in the past like 10 years where glass is really ramped up. Where when it comes to it being LEED certified, when it comes to energy efficiency, glass is really ramped up now to where you really have to know what kind of glass you're installing, especially for a new home. Because a lot of the times, like even the glass in my own house, like I showed it to Tracy, was our rep at the time. I took a picture of it while they were building my home. I sent it to him. He goes, dude, that's good glass. Like it just puts security film on. Like heat rejection wise, the only way you're gonna do anything is you just need to make it darker. The solar heat gain coefficient was already so good that it was like putting any of the high end products in is pointless. And now that glass is coming standard almost in all homes.
Yeah, that's where the exterior films have come in pretty handy because that's where you can get a huge edge, and it's going to be safe.
Yep, and which thankfully we have access to the best exterior films when it comes down to it. Either if you're going with 3M or you're going with SolarGuard. SolarGuard has been investing heavily in their exterior films because they're owned by Saint-Gobain. So Saint-Gobain is a European company where everything in Europe right now is usually ahead of us glass-wise technology.
Yeah.
Now the coatings are getting so efficient, and now they're starting to become on surface 4, which is the inside part of the window, which if you don't know that coating's there, you put a blade to it, you just bought a new window because you just scraped their coating. It's going to scratch the living hell out of the glass. The only way to solve a problem on that type of glass is exterior. And SolarGuard has been heavily investing in that over the past, I think since Saint-Gobain took over, which I want to say it was 7-8 years ago. I should actually know that.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was a bit ago, but that is the way Saint-Gobain operates, though, is they play the long-term game when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Like, this is where we're going to invest because eventually that is going to creep its way over here because everything always does.
Yeah.
And then we're going to start running into the issue of like, all right, you have a low E coating on surface 4, which makes sense for what the technology is. So just a little bit of explanation of what low E glass is. Low E glass helps insulate your house, so it's going to stop the heat from exiting your home itself. So when
or ambient heat from coming in,
but if having low E glass is going to in the wintertime when you are heating your house, it's not going to let the heat escape your windows, keep your energy bills down when it comes down to it. So what would be the best surface to put that on? Technically surface 4, which is the inside part of the glass. You want it as close to the heat as possible so it has the best reaction to keep the heat inside. Right now we run into it's on surface 2 or surface 3, which is the in between the panes of glass, and that presents its own problem because depending on where you put the film, you could be trapping that heat in between
one pane of glass.
One pane of glass, and that's surface 3. Surface 3 is where you always run into problems to where most interior films are not going to work. Yeah. You have to go exterior. I mean, we just ran into that in a couple different projects where the customers really saying like, hey, this room feels hotter than we got these windows tinted, and this room's hotter than everywhere else. Well, it's because you're like superheating your window when it comes down to it, and that ambient heat is now just dumping into that room, and that's where that's where the heat problem's coming from. So we presented them with an exterior option. Now we're installing the exterior option because that technically is the only safe product we can put on because they got kind of lucky the fact that none of those windows are broken. Yeah. When it comes down to it,
I didn't even look to see, but they could have been tempered, is why they got lucky. But
probably not. Think about looking at that building. That's probably what it is. Yeah. It can hold the heat, and that, if anything, like I said, it's just going to be like a superconductor. It's just going to absorb the heat and then radiate it inwards. You know, I mean, I could think off the top of my head, probably when I was a younger installer, in my early 20s, like installing film, and then now I think about the consumer going like, "Hey, this window just feels like it's hot." And now knowing what I know now,
even if it's the right film on the right window, sometimes the window itself will feel hotter because some of it is absorption, but it's the reflection that's mattering, and slowing down the rate of transfer ultimately is what allows the AC to stay above. So that's something that is always kind of needed to be explained to somebody when how good is it working, and they stick their hand on the window. It's like, no,
you can't do that.
You want to go a couple inches away to a foot away and feel how much heat's coming through, and then go to the window next to it that's not tinted, and you can drastically feel that difference.
Well, if you want to do your own little, if we're lucky enough to come out and give you an estimate because we leave you samples, if you want to test it for yourself, or if you have another company come out, if you're not in Las Vegas or in any other part of the country, if you want a good test would be take that sample, tape it up on the window when the sun is hitting that window, and take a temp gun and look at your carpet and where you put that piece of film up, take the temperature of that shaded area, and then take the temperature of the area that's letting the sun just go straight to the window. That's going to tell you right there what it's doing for you. It's going to give you at least the show of the difference between the degree of temperature in the shaded area and the unshaded area to where you can see what's happening just by the numbers of temperature.
How much is the little BTU meter to see how much is coming through?
I think That's one of the cheaper meters.
I think, in my opinion, that's one that honestly I need to have on me more often now, because that's a really cool example you can
We
give
got one
live.
you need to start using is the FLIR.
Yeah, well,
That one.
there's meters out there now that real time you
I
can
forgot
put your
about that meter. I
sample
forgot we
up.
bought that meter.
You can put your sample up and show directly with a reading of how much heat's coming through the window, where the film is and where the film
Well,
isn't.
that's where that FLIR meter is going to literally.
It shows it to you visually.
It's a
right?
camera, yeah. It'll show you with the scaling of colors, red being red hot, and then down to I think it's blue or purple is cool.
Yeah.
To where that is something like you do the same thing. Tape those samples up into a window, measure the house, and then take that FLIR and just put it on the window, and you can see. Well, you can see where all your heat's bleeding in over here, and you can see where it's not bleeding in, where my sample's at. And it's the instant visual, and also just seeing like, hey, the proof is in what's happening. I'm showing you exactly. I'm not trying to sell you something that is bullshit. I'm not trying to be a snake oil salesman. Like you can see what the film's doing right then. I mean, I know as you, for you as well as me, when I am installing, if I'm installing on a house, my favorite thing to do is I pick the room that has the most sun on it, the hottest damn room I could possibly find, and because usually it's a picture window that slides open, tint one side, and then go grab the customer.
Oh, yeah.
And then tell them to stand in the middle and put their arms out. You can instantly feel the difference. And even if they don't get to do that, usually I tint that room first because then they'll eventually walk into that room and that's their problem room. And all of a sudden they're like, holy hell, what a difference. And as soon as I hear that, it makes me so happy because it's like, what I'm selling you is actually doing its job. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not selling you something that is, well, it should make a difference. No, it makes a damn difference instantly, and you can feel it.
Oh, yeah.
And having that instant gratification, it's just like the heat lamp in the shop when you're showing them the different types of films, going from a dyed film to a ceramic film. A dyed film is for looks, especially in Vegas. Other parts of the country, not necessarily true, but in Vegas, if you put a dyed film on your vehicle, it is for looks. It's going to hold out some heat. It'll make a difference because you're taking visible light out of the vehicle. There is some heat rejection there. But when you introduce the ceramic films and the IR coatings, holding out the bigger spectrum of heat, that's when it's all of a sudden like put your hand in front and you're like, holy shit, what a difference between these two. And it's like, here, I can sit there and explain to you what's happening, or I can just, here, put your hand here.
Feel it.
Feel this. Yeah. This clear glass, this is my darkest dye. Here's my lightest ceramic films. And it's instantly like, okay, well, go ahead. And I'm not doing the dyed one because there is a place for the dyed film. Some people they just want to make their car darker. Yeah. It's just I want to make it look better. I'm getting rid of the car in a year or two. I don't need the lifetime warranty film. I can go with like a Solstice, which is a 5-year, but it's a color stable film. And from what Solar Guard is all the people I've talked to in Solar Guard, that thing is going to last well past 5 years. And any film, when it comes down to it, in about 10 to 12 years, majority of all films are going to start failing at some point. It's like any product you go put in the sun and let it bake in the sun all day. It's going to fail when it comes down to it. It's just how long until that point happens. And then it depends on what company or what manufacturer, who's that company partnered with. If they partner with Solar Guard, Solar Guard's going to take care of you. Partner with Lumar is going to take care of you. If you're with one of the main manufacturers, majority of the time, and I haven't really heard any really big horror stories when it comes down to the main manufacturers, Lumar, Expel, 3M, Solar Guard, they all care about the product and they care about the industry when it comes down to it. If they don't take care of that customer, they lose a dealer, and they also piss off a customer who goes, you know what? They didn't stand behind their product, and then they're shitting all over films, and that only hurts our industry, and then it ruins their bottom dollar because now people aren't going to want to buy film when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
So
and they know the numbers too. The reason why they can give a lifetime warranty on something that's probably realistically going to last 10 to 15 is they know most people aren't even going to own their car that long, and the handful of people that do
don't transfer. Well, that's why that's a funny question that gets popped up. Why does my warranty say limited lifetime? Well, it's limited lifetime because as long as you own the vehicle, lifetime. As soon as you sell that vehicle, it's transferable. For most manufacturers, I can only speak to 3M.
You got to pay
on this.
You got to pay a transfer fee. No,
you just got to
have to submit it.
You just got to do the paperwork, and then it becomes a 5-year warranty. Doesn't matter what film you have; it can be a lifetime warranty film. As soon as it transfers hands of ownership, same thing with houses too. Houses say the same thing, limited lifetime, depending on which manufacturers. Again, I can only speak to 3M and Solar Guard. We have not carried other brands when it comes to residential, commercial, or residential.
What's the panorama transfer? Does it still stay lifetime?
No, there isn't a film on the market. I don't believe that when you transfer ownership, it stays lifetime. They're all limited lifetime, and that's what that means. Is that it's as soon as it transfers ownership, and you transfer that warranty over, they will do the paperwork. It gets transferred over to you, but then now there is a time clock on your film. As soon as it gets to that point, warranty is gone.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's definitely a question that we get, I would say, when we send a warranty over. Why does it say limited? This is why.
Yeah, there's restrictions to it. If you scratch the film physically, that's not covered.
Yeah, and it breaks that down too. So.
Oh wow, really? Is it gonna?
Yeah, it's been about an hour, and I know I started off with saying that this was going to be a Q&A. It kind of was. It was almost kind of a Tinner battle highlight reel of what is happening, what happened with that event, the content from that event, and then some questions in there too.
Yeah, it's really fun to see the spike in interest in the industry. We're even getting people reaching out to us just from seeing that kind of content, asking installation technique stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah, which is what we're trying to do when it comes down to it. By the end of this year, we'll have the shop completely redone and the academy up and going. And if anything, we are going to be putting out a waiting list for anyone who's interested in the academy. We'll get that out as soon as possible. When it does get out, please fill it out, send it in.
So talking to Michelle yesterday, I think we found a really quick way to do it pretty quickly as a lead form in TintWiz. So I'm guessing by the time we release this,
it ought to be up and going.
We'll have that out there.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because then it captures the information. We can really make it really minimal: name, number, email. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. That's genius. And again, TintWiz for the win again, baby.
And we haven't done this enough because I don't know. He even said that we don't need to do any type of ads or anything, but a huge thank you to Eric and Dave and everybody at TintWiz, Cato for everything he did at Tinner Battles. The podcast studio they had set up there was insane. Hopefully we'll have some of those episodes out. Might be even before this one comes out.
It's a possibility.
As we recorded quite a few there at Wiz Castle that honestly I haven't seen them. I don't know. I don't even remember exactly what we talked about, but I remember while we were doing them, they were the most fun, most engaged podcasts we've done yet. And I'm really excited to see how those turn out and what the feedback is on those ones. But if you do have questions for next time, make sure you get them to us, DM us on Instagram, comment on the YouTube videos, wherever you can find us. One last thing, the Facebook thing made a lot of sense to me, why the tinting a flat glass window popped there before everywhere else. I think it's a demographic thing. You got a lot of older people that own homes on Facebook, so it's probably more and businesses. It's probably just more interesting to that demographic, and
I'd
then
agree with that.
I think that might be part of it too. So
I agree with that. So you guys know what to do. Subscribe, follow along. We appreciate the support. This has been a fun journey. We look forward to it. Keep going and keep growing and keep learning.
Yeah. And if you are following along, thank you so much. The shares on Instagram and the comments of people saying that they're watching and listening mean more than you know. I know we don't have a huge following right now, but if you are and you've found value from this, thank you.
And yeah, we've had people reach out asking about certain products, trying to solve problems in their areas, either the side of the buildings melting on the East Coast or turf burning on the West Coast. I got one of those the other day where literally it came in as, I don't know if it was a lead. I think it did come in as a lead.
Yeah, it came in as a lead.
Yeah, it came in as a lead, and I reached out to the guy instantly and told him, I gave him my thoughts of what we're using for turf and what hopefully being developed for side paneling and stuff. And, he's like, I'm mostly an auto tinner, but it's a general contractor friend that I know. I wanted to pass some information along. I told him, dude, by the end of the year, we're going to have Academy. He goes, I'll be looking forward to seeing that pop up. He's like, I've already been looking. There's another, I forget I know it's in Jersey. I forget the name of it, but there's another one that's being stood up too, which, believe me, more the merrier. There is a gigantic hole in this industry right now for skilled labor, and we're trying to help do our part to grow that, to solve the problem, try to solve the problem for everybody. So, if you're looking to get into a career where you can easily be upwards of 75 to 100,000 within relatively 2-3 years, you can get up there, and then from there, it's the sky's the limit. Is how much you want to put into it. If you just looking for a 9 to 5, get your 40 hours, easily sitting at 75, 80 after you've gotten a couple years of the training, got your speed up to where you can get that much work done. And then if you want to press, you can. Dude, sky's the limit when it comes to pay.
There's guys right now that are subcontracting on some of the security film work in Texas that I don't want to say names, but somebody at Tinterbrows we were talking to that does a lot of big commercial work said he had a subcontractor that worked for him 60 something days last year and made over $100,000. Just literally subcontracted for 2 months. No, he said he had one of his guys who was a subcontractor did like 68 days of work.
But also what comes with that though is those 60 days he was doing 12 to 14-hour days. That's the caveat that needs to be put on there. Like that's why I say 75 to 100 is usually around the typical.
Yeah.
And if you want to be that overachiever, there are plenty of guys that are making 200 to 250. But what comes with that is you're traveling from town to town, city to city, being contracted out in these areas to where you were going to complete 1,000+ square foot job with maybe some linear attachments, and then you're hopping on a plane flying to the next city.
Or you're going to jump onto a 500,000 square foot project that you're on for months.
Yeah, and in which, like I said, those are 10, 12-hour days. Like there'll be enough work put in front of you to where you can take what you want to take on and do what you want to do, and you go from there.
All the way down to just starting your own little simple operation in a small town, and maybe $50,000 a year is all you need, and you're living the life of your dreams.
Great thing is you can take this trait literally anywhere. As soon as you pick it up and learn it and start getting the grasp of it, is just you can go anywhere you want and you'll be able to make money when it comes down to it. So.
If you enjoy doing something physical, and I think it's got a lot less threat of some type of AI disruption. I think that type of disruption is just going to happen on the end of the business side of things.
Which is okay.
Implement it and use it for your business to make yourself more efficient, where maybe you don't have to hire extra people to accomplish the same thing. But as far as the installation side goes, I don't see those robots tinting windows anytime soon.
The T1000's not coming in.
I mean, I could be wrong, but that's another problem. If we get to there, then if window tinters are being replaced by robots, we got bigger problems.
Much bigger problems. So, hey guys, until next time, appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you. Subscribe.